Yeah, so they tore down a couple of buildings, including a Black Angus / aquarium that never really seemed to work out. Black Angus could never maintain business, and they were mistreating the fish at the aquarium. So that finally got torn down, and they're building a brand new Goodwill superstore over here. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, before I get sidetracked, and I may have to speak loud because I am along McLaughlin Boulevard, but I'm here to talk about one of Portland's most prolific serial killers. Not super big in the annals of serial killing, but in Portland he is, and that individual was named Dayton Lee Roy Rogers.
Well, this morning we're going to talk, and we'd like to let you know right from the beginning that the material we're going to discuss this morning is very disturbing, and we will have some pictures that are considered graphic. Do you remember Dayton Lee Roy Rogers?
Who can forget him?
He was considered Oregon's worst serial killer.
One night he picks up a 25-year-old prostitute, drove this young lady to what was a Denny's, killed her in his car in the parking lot. And the address given for that Denny's, when I was able to find it, is this strip mall right here. Okay, good. So what you were watching there was the start of a video that I started shooting the other day, and through the process of looking through some old footage of the actual crime scene, I discovered that the location where this murder occurred was not right over there, which is the place I claimed it was at before, because Google Maps, I was going to say the F word, not going to say it, Google Maps sucks. When I found the address to the location, it put me on that side of the street. Well, when I saw the footage, fortunately, when I saw the Denny's where this event occurred, I recognized the building because growing up in this area, I realized that that was actually what is, or I guess was, known as the Panda Buffet. That's what it became after the Denny's closed. And what's so funny is when I was doing that footage, and I was explaining to you, oh, hey, there's a new Goodwill coming in across the street. Brand new Goodwill superstore. Well, here's that right here. And in the far back, there where the building's actually being constructed, that's where the Panda Buffet was. So this land over here that's all kind of open right now, that is where an old Black Angus used to be. And then ultimately it became the Portland Aquarium, which flourished for a few months. Then they found out that they were mistreating the fish and the place got totally shut down. So Panda Buffet, which is literally right here where this new Goodwill building's going, they weren't doing well business-wise. So of course you have one business closing, the other one struggling and about to close down, and Goodwill struck. And the moment I saw those two businesses closing, my mind was immediately like, yep, they're going to build some big thing there. And I was correct, because now this big Goodwill's going in here to replace the one that's a few blocks down. This is the Oak Lodge Library, and it looks like it's closed for the day. I used to come here all the time, well, not all the time, but pretty frequently, because it's the closest library to my place. And here we're looking at the backside of what is going to be the new Goodwill. This used to be more parking here. The Panda Buffet pretty much ran from about where the front of this new building is to about the area right in front of me. And it was on the back side, so it'd be roughly, you know, where this window is, roughly the other side of that is where the body of 25-year-old Jennifer Smith, the presumed 7th victim, at least 7th known victim of Dayton Lee Roy Rogers, that's where he left her body. It's very interesting. Rogers' mode of operation was he picked up prostitutes. That was his primary victim. In fact, for a while, a lot of people thought he was the Green River Killer because he started killing in the early 80s. Dayton Lee Roy Rogers had been doing it for a while, but over the span of time. The killing that he did at this location occurred in 1987, and it was this particular murder that actually was his undoing, because the thing that Rogers tended to do was he would get these prostitutes, he would take them to a secluded place so he could do what he did without anybody seeing or without anybody hearing a struggle. And he did this near Malala, which makes sense. There's a lot of jokes made about Malala and how creepy it is. And he would abandon the bodies in the forest. And he was able to do this at least 6 times successfully. What doesn't make sense then is why he would have done what would turn out to be his last murder in what is generally the city. You know, I haven't gone over the legal documents or anything like that, but one would think that perhaps it was the start of an evening together. Maybe he was trying to win the young lady over by taking her to dinner at Denny's. And maybe he did something that put her off, or she saw something she shouldn't have and she started to struggle and he had to attack her and run. But for some reason, Rogers abandoned his MO, and instead of doing this way out in the middle of nowhere, he did it literally right across from the library over here. And there's, you know, an assortment of businesses in here. This is kind of sort of an offshoot of just different little mini strip malls. And he did it kind of right in this area, right behind where the Denny's / Panda Express was. And of course, people saw it. You know, there were people probably in this building, people, you know, right through here. People in the restaurant probably heard the screaming, and people actually tried to stop him as he got into his car and tore back out onto the road. People actually tried to stop him. Now, he got away, but one bystander actually got into his car and literally chased Rogers all the way to Canby, which from here, that's about 25-30 miles. Literally chased the guy. According to articles on the case, you know, they were hitting speeds of 100, and this guy literally chased this guy all the way to Canby, and when Rogers got to Canby, he just pulled into a driveway. And so the passerby was like, okay, I'll get the address down, you know, called the police. You know, they'd seen the guy tear away from the accident. They knew it was him. So that's how Rogers got caught, was by attacking and murdering a woman right over there and then leaving her body there. What further perplexed me was that the first person to call the police, because mind you, this was the 80s, people on the scene, you know, didn't have cell phones. Someone with a landline actually had to make the first 911 call. And the 911 call came from this area over here. There used to be an apartment complex there. And I was thinking, like, how could they have seen the attack that happened all the way over there? But knowing that it was right here and that they were right over here, they would have had an easy view behind the Black Angus that used to be here. That was empty lot space, and then the lot behind the Denny's is where the attack happened, and anybody over in this area would have been able to see what was going on there pretty easily. So one guy saw it, called to his roommate and said, something's going on, someone's getting attacked over here, and they called the police. So people reported to this scene, and they ultimately reported to the location in Canby where Rogers was, and it was actually a pretty easy catch. So, you know, the unfoiling of one of Oregon's most prolific serial killers happened because of a dumb decision he made that happened right back over there. So, Dayton Lee Roy Rogers has actually been sentenced to death multiple times, and each time it gets overturned, and I think recently they had their 4th one. So this guy's still just sitting in prison, still trying to fight to keep alive after all the insanity that he conducted. So, you know, he's an older guy now. Again, this happened back in the 80s, but, you know, he's just been kind of slowly fading away in prison. Anyway, that's it from the right location where infamous serial killer Dayton Lee Roy Rogers killed his last victim. And yeah, till next time, hopefully my next video won't be such a disturbing subject matter, but, you know, happy or sad, this is history. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time on Explore Oregon.